All right, 1 minute. Haven't been able to train or lift weights in like 8 days. I've had a pretty severe lat injury. I literally cannot fucking hold a weight on my chest. And so I've been forced to rest for like a week straight, literally forced. And I went to bed real early the other night and I woke up and I've never had any kind of hand injury, not that I know of, not that I'm aware of. And I wake up one morning, this was a couple days ago, and it felt like I had a fucking stress fracture in my hand. Literally felt like I broke my hand in my sleep. Zero mobility. It's like you shoved my hand in a fucking sewing machine and let the machine piston down on my fucking ulnar bones. Horrific, horrific pain. Now, makes zero sense that you could shatter your hand in your sleep. So I came to the conclusion that all the stims that I've been doing, all this chain smoking, all the lifting, all the movement, it gave me the insight that I've been masking this injury for quite a long time. It's been masked. And as soon as I rested and as soon as the body toned down, the great unveiling happened and the injury has appeared out of fucking nowhere. So I have to imagine that I've actually had a real fucked up hand for probably months and had zero clue. Rest is dangerous, my friends. Rest is lethal. Because now that I'm fucking down regulated, I'm starting to sense all this floating pain in my body that's obviously been there for a while. And the point of the story is that letting go, truly letting go, might actually be the apex philosophy. If you've ever had a crippling migraine or a crippling headache and you tensed up and you're clenched and the pain is so powerful, you know one of the most soul-nourishing phenomenons is when you slowly release the clench and you kind of sink into it and that dull pain starts to slowly fade away. It's one of the most soul-nourishing experiences when you just let go. And you let things come from the apogee down into the trough where they belong. Okay, now let's blend this in. Let's blend this in a very creative fashion about there's the idea that there's nothing to fix. Do you guys understand there's nothing to fix? There's nothing in society that's broken. It's one of the greatest lies that we've all been told. One of the coziest, most comforting lies is that there's some fucking grand catastrophe in society right now that needs to be disentangled, that needs to be put back together. The fabric is broken. That's the narrative. And it's all a fucking lie. Do you guys understand history? History. You cannot put your hand over your heart and say with true conviction that history has ever been any fucking different than it is today. Can't do that. Because all the archetypes are the exact fucking same. You know the guys that we vilify with fucking orange broccoli hair? The horse-toothed geeks that play video games professionally for a living with the fucking rapid hand-eye coordination? That motherfucker is no different than the English medieval archer being loved by his lord for protecting the fucking castle in 11th century medieval times. Do you understand? That archetype is the motherfucking same. That English archer is the same guy. That's the same horse-toothed nerd playing video games at an elite level now. It's just instead of a bow and arrow, motherfucker's got a fucking video game console in his hand. So when you take technology out of the equation, because the technological offerings are different, so of course the archetypes are going to express themselves and mold themselves into the vessel that's presently being wrought on ourselves. This should make perfect sense to you. There's always been dysgenic little hunchbacks roaming around. Magicians, jesters, corsairs. All of these motherfucking archetypes have spread themselves throughout history because nature always wins. And I guarantee you, if you go back in any historical period, they all had the perception that their society was broken in the same way that we think it is. And society ain't broken. There's literally nothing to fix. The only thing you can do, and this is why aligning yourself with politics and these movements that are supposedly grassroots, that are fucking burgeoning, that are supposedly supposed to force social issues, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. That's why I don't align myself or affiliate myself with any of this nonsense. Because I understand that this is never going to change. Nature has birthed this type of phenomenon since the dawn of mankind. Like, how has no one drawn the parallel that OnlyFans has always existed? OnlyFans has always been here. If you walked into a fucking saloon in the 1800s, there were whores nested at the top of the stairs waiting in bedrooms with risque, lecherous posters advertising them. Any motherfucker playing poker who just cleaned out someone's stack could walk upstairs and bang a whore. Prostitution's like the oldest profession of mankind. OnlyFans literally was here in the 1800s. It just wasn't in a digital format. Just wasn't in a digital format, but the expression, whores, cheaters, lechery, that shit's always been present. It's always been built into the animal infrastructure. History is no different than it is today. There's no difference. You can find it everywhere. It's endemic. It's endemic to the species. There's nothing to fix. Society's fucking perfection. It's perfection. And if you're a winner, you smirk. You smirk and you laugh when you hear motherfuckers talking about return to tradition. What the fuck is that bullshit? That's not a winning philosophy. That's a fucking coward's philosophy. Return to what? Return to what? The formula for winning has always been the same. The games are the same. The human game, sales, persuasion, process of will, forward advancement, tactics, strategy. It's all the fucking same. It's all the same. We've all been equipped with these mechanisms forever. The machinery is a little bit different, but the archetypes all translate fucking perfectly. You know what I'm saying? There's always been good women, bad women, good men, clashes and battles of the archons, good versus evil. It's fucking everywhere. You know what I mean? You never had to read Spangler. You never had to read Spangler. You didn't have to dive into the fucking channels of fucking Schopenhauer and Nietzsche. Like those Alexander, Caesar, the Comanche warhorse riders. They're all here. Those people are here. right now. You know what I'm saying? Caesar's here. Alexander's here. It's the next fucking incarnation. Because those archetypes don't leave the human soul. They don't. It's a fact. You know what I mean? And if you don't view history this way, then you're in some sort of raspberry luxury dream where you basically have so much time on your hands to pontificate about the glory days and pontificate about how things could be so much better. And all you're doing at the end of the day, and we all know this is subconsciously fucking true, we all know the only solution to every answer in society is for everybody to double down on who they are right now. That's it. It's always been the name of the game. It will never fucking change. You were built a certain way, and your job is to fix nothing. Do you understand? There is nothing to fix within you. And when you start messing around and tinkering with your own faculties, that's when you topple empires. That's when you start putting wrenches in the cogs of the wheels and start interfering with fate. And that's when you get these really fucking bizarre perversions of truth. You know, I've talked a lot about leaning into your nature. And it's just become clearer and clearer to me that nobody has fucking struck the bullseye like I have with this. It's the front running philosophy right now. And I just know I've never felt something tug at my heartstrings that's given me so much elucidation of truth in my entire fucking life. The guy that I was telling you about, and I love this fucking archetype right now. Even the psychological fat guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are so many people right now that if you forced them into the gym and told them to become healthier and start eating fucking strict and having this fucking militant like viewpoint towards health and fucking salubrity and vitality, there's a lot of men that if you force them into the gym with a trainer and they fucking lose a bunch of fat and they pack on a bunch of muscle, you would actually fucking tank. You would tank the fuck out of their mental health. Like you could literally cripple a motherfucker's mental health past the level where they wouldn't be able to recover if you forced this shit on enough people. I mean, the proof is just in the fucking pudding. There's plenty of fucking people out there who don't need to go to the gym and don't need to be jacked to be successful. That is one of the dumbest universal ubiquitous RX prescriptions floating out there right now. Because we all know it's bullshit. I mean, we all can literally look. Why why the fuck? Come on, guys. We got to do some critical thinking here. Why the fuck are the bodybuilders and the meatheads at Venice Beach? Why aren't they running the world? If testosterone is the holy grail and getting your hormones right and being a jacked fucking supposed handsome motherfucker, if that's truly the fucking secret ingredient, why are all the motherfuckers at Venice Beach, why aren't they running the world? Why aren't they making legislation? Why aren't they making all the policy? Why aren't they the CEOs of every fucking company? Why aren't they doing what Elon Musk's doing? Because it's all a fucking lie. It's all a fucking lie. You know what I mean? People are wired in a certain fucking way. Some motherfuckers are going to be so awkward if you get them jacked. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, in my personal case, me going to the gym is just a no fucking brainer. It's just something I have to do. My DNA, I fucking come from a long fucking thoroughbred line of fucking athletes and shit. So like I have to train for my sanity. But that's me. And there's plenty of motherfuckers who have a successful formula that don't do any of this bullshit. Let me do a grand unveiling for you. I saw a tweet this morning that I think is literally the dumbest. This will go down as the dumbest tweet I believe in world history. It's in the Hall of Fame of just brain dead takes. And I'm going to read it to you. Let me find it. This guy says there is not a single metric where fat people have it better than healthy people. Energy and quality of life, attractiveness to potential partners, earnings, disease risk, and life expectancy, the list goes on. Yet they still eat. There it is. There it is. That takes the cake for the dumbest, and I actually mean this, like the most troglodyte, boneheaded, low IQ take of all fucking time. Like, humans aren't playing a longevity game. That's like a fake thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people that have fires in their souls that get extinguished super early, but they accomplish a lot more in the time that they're here than any motherfucker. Like, look at the reverberation of fucking Tupac's legacy. Motherfucker, what? Murdered in his 20s? Motherfucker had more of a cultural impact than motherfuckers out here on the transhumanism stick fucking trying to live to 100. Packing in quality years. You know what I mean? Making quantum leaps through the fucking hierarchy. And here's the thing. Most people, 99.9% of people, are never going to take the evolutionary trials required to completely break out of that local minima and exceed their life path. Like, I've always told you this, your fate in your blood, the way it's encoded, you're pretty much locked in to a certain parameter of fate. And it's in parentheses, because those parentheses can definitely be expanded in one direction. But for the most part, no one's going to make that fucking quantum leap. Those transcendent personalities are a fucking needle in a haystack. You know what I mean? The proverbial fucking Jesus Christ, all that shit. That's a very, very, very rare phenomenon. It's a fucking flicker in the moonlight and then it disappears. So if you actually really want to get a better grasp of life and where culture's headed, you really don't have a choice but to just embrace what the fuck is in front of you right now. Which is the winner's mentality is that society is absolutely fucking perfect as it stands. There's nothing to fix. Nothing's broken. Nature's always going to do its thing. Nature's always going to do its thing. And if you're too rigid and you're too strong and you're too powerful and you're too transcendent, like I always told you, you're going to miss out on a bunch of life. You're going to miss out on a bunch of the fucking joys of life because here's the reality. Winners are always going to find the loopholes and the exploits and find the bugs in the firmware of the present reality. And that's that. And that's that. And anything else is a losing philosophy. If you're not someone who can take advantage of the flaws in modernity, and I say flaws in a paradoxical way because I just said society's perfect, but obviously there's always bugs in the firmware. And you don't need to be a fucking mathematician to grasp that reality. A lot of this shit just comes to the fore from just reducing your anxiety and just accepting what is. It's the fucking apex philosophy, the motherfucker who can just sink deeply and accept what is. I have a mentee right now that I've been mentoring vigorously. And this guy on paper has one of the best lives. On paper, many of you would want to trade places with this guy. Tons of money in the bank, beautiful wife, kids. But he came to me because he's been wearing war paint his whole life. He's been wearing a mask. And he's deeply, deeply, deeply miserable. There's been something in him his entire life, he shares with me, that has been tugging on him. A lack of contentment, a lack of fulfillment. He's doing everything right structurally. On paper, on the surface, he's got a fucking beautiful life. But deep down, he can't fucking take it anymore. He can't fucking take it anymore. And he got his mentorship with me, and he admitted up front. He was like, look, I'm probably going to get this mentorship with you. And he's like, I'm probably not even going to take advantage of it. He's like, I just know my personality. He's like, I like to buy into things and buy into structures and different ways of living. And he's like, I quit and I peter out and I putter out super fast. And he was like, this is just a thing of mine. Like, I'll start something, I start really hot, and then my gas tank runs out, and I basically just shy away from it, and I run away. And I was like, okay, so let's see what happens. So I was talking to him this morning, and we were kind of treading over the purpose of why he got the mentorship. We were kind of confronting it and kind of peeling back some of these layers. And I came up with the answer, and it was very true. So my understanding of the reason why this guy was such a fucking pearly life on the outside, got the mentorship with me, is because he's been so suffocated and so suppressed from that barbaric, vitalistic nature that I talk about, that every man wants to unleash, despite the fact that they're, keeping up the party line. They're holding a good job. They're in really good social standing with their tribe. But people don't know that they're just suffering and they're dying underneath. And so I understood this morning, it became very clear to me that the only reason he purchased the mentorship is because he wanted to do something devious. It was a defiance. Understand, it was a defiance of his typical life. It was just doing something atypical. It was a secret. It was a secret now, because nobody would believe in this guy's personal life or perceive that he would be the type of guy who would get a mentorship. Nobody. Because he's done such a fucking good job of hiding it and wearing the face. And so now he's got a confidant in me, and he's just been spilling his fucking guts about all the fucking dissatisfaction he has. He wants to rupture the plane. He wants to shake things up. He wants to release that natural fucking barbaric nature that's been fucking suffocated. It's been fucking strangled. It's been defenestrated. And he wants to release it so bad. So by jumping on board with me, this motherfucker is like holding a secret. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is it's given him an opportunity to kind of explore the bounds of that left-hand path that I talk about, that's essential for being a complete man. Because this is a guy who's taken the right-hand path his whole life. He's the Johnny Good boy. Nobody would have the faintest fucking clue that he's got these Thonian forces quaking underneath that are dying to come out. You know what I'm saying? And so he did it in a civilized way, because what happens for a lot of guys who do the right hand path their whole life and they never experiment with the left hand is they'll just snap one day and they'll just go on a fucking bender and go fucking bang a bunch of hookers in a hotel room and fucking snort lines of coke. And so instead of just completely snapping the rubber band and completely unraveling, he's doing it in a more civilized way. He's just open to the fact that he ain't living right, and he wants to start with some sort of fucking devious move of just kind of exploring kind of these darker desires that he has, that he's never been able to satisfy. He's never been able to indulge them. And I have a feeling that a ton of men are in this exact position. Everything's on paper is so fucking sterling. It's so perfect. It's so perfectly curated. You've got such an image that you have to uphold every day, which takes a brutal amount of stamina and energy and endurance to hold, by the way. And no one knows that these men are seriously so fucked up on the inside. So fucked up. And it's like, it all goes back to these theories that I've been proffering to you guys. You know, this particular guy, he can't remove the misery too fast either. Because the misery even though it's a condition that people don't want to stay in for long. The misery is also a linchpin. It's holding a lot of other structures together and functions in his life that if he takes away the misery, he's also going to lose a lot of other functionality. Do you understand? It's like the way you walk is the way you talk, the way everything you do leads to everything else. And so this is why I told him, I was like, bro, I don't think there's anything to fix at all. There isn't in anybody. Like the state of being that you are being blessed with right now, that is showing you the path forward. It's why I said, I look at every single emotion that I experience as very benevolent. I look at it as a sort of kindness. And I treat it in a very, very, I baby it. I nurture it. If I'm depressed, then I'm supposed to feel fucking depressed. It's just that when you're healthy and you have a lot of vitality, those cycles are miniature. You're able to break and bust out of those cycles in a very brisk manner. And that's a symbol of health. That's a symbol of health, is being able to capture these emotions and being able to coast them and ride them like a fucking tsunami. You know what I mean? Like emotions are designed to be surfed. You have to surf them. You surf them and you enjoy the ride and then you move on. I don't think emotions are meant to be tinkered with in a reflective capacity. You know what I mean? It's like, I said this yesterday. Any motherfucker can fucking meditate in a dim, calm, quiet, candlelit room. Anyone can calm their mind in such a circumstance. But the meditation that I see, the efficacy in meditation actually comes from having the type of brain that stays on track in the midst of the maelstrom, in the midst of chaos, standing in the middle of the tempest and still having a quiet confidence. That's real meditation. That's the only effective version of meditation. You know what I mean? And that can only be practiced in the gym of life itself, not sequestered in a fucking monastery where obviously, the boons of meditation are available to anybody in that situation. But what about the type of motherfucker who's got the world on his back that can remain steadfast? What about that guy? That guy's the true meditator. You know what I mean? And it's like you start to tear and tease apart these modalities and you come to the same fucking conclusion every time, which is that in order to become a good meditator, you got to travel the complete opposite road to be a good meditator. You don't become a good meditator by meditating. You become a phenomenal meditator by dealing with the chaos and the throes and vicissitudes of life itself. And then you just naturally become a phenomenal meditator. It's like to reach any of these destinies, you have to go the complete opposite way. And then it's like a Mobius strip. You start on one end of the strip, there's a wrinkle and a twist in the middle of the material, and you end up on the back side of it. You know what I mean? Life is toroidal like that. It's a torus. It's circular. Everything comes back to itself. But you got to complete the full loop. You know what I'm saying? You got to complete the full loop. Most people are going for the half loop. And then you end up halfway there and you're grappling with these systems that you put in place to try to become a good meditator. It's like, brother, you're never going to be a phenomenal meditator by meditating. That's not something that's not something that you accident or that you intentionally practice. You know what I'm saying? It's like most of the beauty in life happens by complete accident. Like most of the things you become, the outrageous strength that you see in yourself, whatever talents, whatever gifts you have, the feeling inside you should be like you just stumbled upon it. You stumbled upon it by living and by throwing yourself into reality with reckless abandon. And then you develop skills you don't even know you're fucking developing. I'm a better meditator than the fucking Dalai Lama. And I ain't ever sat in a fucking room and practiced. Ever. And I'll out meditate that motherfucker. Do you understand? So you got to complete the full cycle to become what you want to be, which means you got to go every which way. You got to experience the entire fucking panoply of emotions. You have to go through it all. And I will die on this hill, and I still will tell you that the way you truly know you're living correct and I think this is universal because I think life does need to be squeezed to its maximum capacity every fucking day, is you should be cycling through every single emotion, the entire gamut on a daily basis. Every day of life should feel like a full lifetime. That's the fucking wisdom. Every 24-hour period should feel like you lived an entire lifetime packed in one. There's death, there's rebirth, there's chaos, there's peace, there's joy, there's melancholy. Do you understand? Because when you're pushing yourself, it's like you're risk on at all times. It's like, look at the sentiment right now in the market. The market is a really good metaphor for this. It's like people don't want to make moves because they don't feel good. They don't feel right. They don't feel right. They need sort of permission. They need to see the ethos in society kind of recalibrate itself, and they're looking for sentiment elsewhere outside themselves. But real winners are still making moves even when they feel like trash. They're still taking risks. You know what I mean? They're still putting up shots. How they feel is completely irrelevant. And that's why the common man will never be anything at all, is because they need market sentiment to push them in the right direction. Whereas a guy like me, if I'm in the fucking pits of despair and the throes of hell, I'm still taking risk. It doesn't matter what the fucking market sentiment is. That's all nonsense anyway. You know what I mean? Like the recession's bullshit, by the way. I've personally never lived through a recession in my entire life. I have no clue what anybody's fucking talking about when they talk about a recession. It's like I built in my own fucking recession proof system. You know what I mean? Like when I've paid for things in my life, I'm playing my own game. Beating inflation, beating common household inflation is so easy. Like that's life on easy mode. Anyone can fucking beat inflation. I've fucking ramped up my own inflation. I play the game at a completely fucking different level than everybody else. If I want to buy something, I pay for what I think it's worth. I don't give a fuck if I overpay for anything. Like if someone does a great job, my barber fucking does a great job, I'll throw that motherfucker $200. I don't give a fuck if I don't give a fuck if the haircut was $50. I want to throw him 200 because that's what I think it's worth. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter how broke I am. I live life the same fucking way. This is why I told you, if you get the lifestyle you want first and you give yourself the freedom of living the way you want to every day, that's your framework, money really is not going to change your life that much because you're already living the way you want to live. You know what I mean? It gets really dangerous when you're not living the life you want to live and then you come into a huge bag. Then you're royally fucked because you're not going to know how to handle it. I'm doing everything on a daily basis, whether I'm worth 10 million or $1,000. I'm doing the same shit. I have the same fucking power in my local domain. You know what I mean? Like things don't change very much. The reason the spaces is called Doubt and Denied is because I made a joke with my boy that when I pull the nose up on the plane here, because I'm about to embark on one of the biggest fucking runs anybody's ever fucking seen. And I told you I'm documenting it. I told you I'm fucking documenting one of the greatest fucking comeback underdog stories that you will ever witness in your fucking life. When it's all said and done, and I'm back in my fucking ivory tower, I'm buying a fucking yacht, and the yacht is gonna be called Doubted and Denied. It's the name of the motherfucking yacht. You'll be seeing me sailing in Miami with that motherfucker. Jet black, murked out. So that's gonna happen. Let's bring up some fucking motherfuckers to piggyback on this. The historical shit that I just said is groundbreaking, by the way. You would not be able to challenge me in any forum where what I said is wrong. It's just 100% my finger on the pulse with this shit is fucking spot on. So let's see what we got. Bring up Mr. Pablo.
Hey, what's up, Ruth? Can you hear me?
What's up, bro?
Hey, so I've been having like recently, there's a lot of people talking about delayed gratification, and I have kind of like doubts on this because if you really are like those motherfuckers are kind of like um taking life for granted, you know, because
100%.
if you delay gratification, like you're kind of like not living to live tomorrow, but how do you know you're gonna live tomorrow? You know, it's like you know. So I wanna like know your take on this.
Bro, first of all, let me just predicate this because I know everybody in this space has some sort of like alpha ideal of how to live. Do you understand the least alpha thing you could ever do is wonder what to do? Like the pure distilled definition of being an alpha or living an alpha life, even if you're not one, is doing whatever the fuck you think is right. That's it. Anything beyond you doing what you think is fucking right, that's just classical fucking that's alpha behavior. Don't matter if it's wrong, right, what it is. Left, right, up, down, east, west, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You shoot from the hip and you make decisions as to what you think is right. You are on the path of bravery, my brother. That's how it works. The delayed gratification shit is nonsense to me, bro. None of these rules work for me. Like, I don't follow a single fucking thing that Money Twitter says to do, and I've been very successful. I'm not one. I procrastinate. I wait till the last day to fucking do everything. I fucking am all about instant gratification. I'm fucking toying with my phone. I have a severe phone addiction. I'm on my phone all fucking day fucking around. Even in the middle of gym sets. People are like, put your fucking phone away when you're at the gym. It's gonna make you weaker. It's like, fuck you, motherfucker. I'll power clean your girlfriend's body weight. 350 pounds while I'm fucking tinking around and joking around on my fucking phone in between sets. It's like, not, dude, there's no rules. There really isn't. And if you need a system, it's because you're not a natural. And I'm a natural. I've found my natural proclivities. I find what works for me. I lord over chaos. I don't have any systems in place, bro. Zero. None. None. I don't follow any system. I've never written something down. I don't schedule appointments. I don't make plans with anybody. I just fucking shoot from the hip. I don't know what I'm doing 5 minutes from now. No clue. People ask me all the time, what are you doing today? I'm like, I have no fucking idea. I have no fucking clue what I'm going to do. I just know that my conscious mind is asleep 90% of the time, and my subconscious mind is genius. When I need to spring into action and I need to get shit done, I am all in. I am all in. I don't do things half assed or tepidly whatsoever. If I'm going to do anything at all, I am going to go with every fucking extent of my maximum capacity or I'm doing nothing at all. Those are my two modes. My two modes are I'm either a mummy in a catatonic state doing absolutely nothing sitting still, or I am blitzkrieging the motherfucking world on the front lines to get shit done. Those are my two modes. I don't know anything in between. I don't know doing things in a half-assed capacity. And that's why I've been very adept and skilled at I've been good at anything I've ever put my mind to. I've been really good at. Because I don't fuck around. I'm not going to waste my time being average at anything that I do. If I do it, I'm going to be the best at it. It's that fucking simple. And that's always been my philosophy. And that's the hunter brain mentality. You know what I'm saying? It just is. Like, I'm a natural motherfucking born hunter mentality. I don't like structure and I despise systems. I despise systems. I don't fuck with other people's systems at all. I know what works for me. I don't listen to any of these rules, bro. None of them. I make my own.
Absolutely, brother. Yeah, I think around the same. But yeah, thank you so much.
You got it. Axel, buddy. Axel, you got one chance or it's a hard block. All right. Another fallen soldier. He's done. Homegoy.eth.
Hey, what's up, brother? I actually thought it was funny that you said that because when I first started sales 3 years ago, um I came in from like communications in college. I wasn't really thinking about doing sales, but then I had like a pregnancy scare with this girl. So I decided to, get into something quick because, I was taking shit slow. And my very first month, I was the number one rep in the nation for the company that I sold for. And I didn't have no systems in place or anything. It was all natural to me. I just memorized the script very first day. Then I just learned everything in it, just adjusted it to the person, popped off. And I started off really hot. But as I stuck with the company, I mean, I learned a lot from each person. You learn from everybody still, but they were imposing these systems, these ideologies and stuff, and they were basically putting a new roof to me, or like a new limit that was lower because it wasn't me myself. So
Yeah, man.
I've kind of also learned too recently is like you said, like the David Goggins and shit. Like, I mean, there's shit to learn from these guys, but in the end of the day, like it's all like theory and shit and perspective and it's theirs, and take the shit that you learn from it, but like don't be sucking their dick. That shit's kind of gay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna interrupt you right there. The whole thing with the goal setting stuff is if you have to write down your goals, those goals aren't important to you. And you're never going to succeed at those goals in life. People who have to write shit down and be reminded to accomplish tasks, you, my friend, are not going far at all. If I have a goal in my mind, you cannot erase that shit from my fucking mind. You can give me a bottle of hemlock and you can fucking put me on SSRIs. You can kill my central nervous system for all I give a fuck. I'm never, if I have a goal and I'm attacking something, you literally cannot get that out of my fucking head. I live and breathe and sleep that shit until it's come to fruition. So I've never written down a fucking goal. And if you find yourself having to do that shit, you're just fucking titillating yourself. You're masturbating because those goals are not important. Someone who truly wants a goal and wants to achieve something, they don't need to be reminded to do it. They don't have to fucking stare at a piece of paper or a fucking vision board. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I've been thinking about why I think therapy is so gay. And I think the reason I do is because therapy, the real therapy, I do see value in journaling. I've talked a lot of shit about journaling before, but basically, I think the whole idea of therapy should be centered around the fact that you are your own father. You are your own confidant. And if you journal your thoughts, you can kind of attack it from that perspective. But I think the ultimate apex of that is not even having to journal your thoughts on paper. You should be able to just journal in your own head. Like I'm to a point where I can journal in my own skull, within my own cranium, and I can flesh things out in a very fast, light, agile capacity. And I think that's where you ultimately want to be, is you want to be able to write these scripts in your head. And then from there, like you gotta just be you gotta be your own fucking patriarch. You gotta be your own king. You gotta be able to be your own consigliere. I think that's the fucking name of the game right there. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
100%
bro.
agree. I
Brother,
left
brother,
that
brother.
company.
We're not doing the rambling today. I appreciate the tip off point. I'm gonna keep it moving. Appreciate it.
But appreciate you.
Zero soy.
Hey, Bruin, how are you?
Yo.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about a cultural thing that I saw that I want to know if it's the same thing. I saw something about John DeLorean, you know the guy, best guy in Ford. Then he goes to build his own car, his own company. Everything goes the fuck away. He goes to jail. And I remember his wife that she goes with the Time magazine, and he dreamed of being in the cover of Time magazine. And she says to him, "Look at this." Like it was like a curse. He was in the Time magazine, but he was like in jail, with the orange suit. Like you ruin everything, she says. And the guy, he sees the magazine and he smiles and he says, "You don't understand. Making all the money again is half the fun. It's half of the journey." And I wanted to know how this resonates with you, with your Mercedes Benz, for example, that you told us. Is it the same thing?
It's a hundred.
Was he talking about the same
It's a
thing?
100% the same thing, man. You got to approach life from a very light detachment, but also take it seriously. You see, when I tell you that a man needs to become a monstrosity, What I'm really telling you is that you need to simultaneously hold space with every paradox available to you. Like a true monster, a true man that gets respect and blandishments and love and accolades is a man who is every fucking paradox at once. You're a tyrant but gentle. You know what I mean? You're a genius but a retard. You're every fucking paradox combined at once. You can toggle modes very quickly. You know what I mean? And it's like that story you told is a great story because it's the ethos that's embedded in every single man who's a titan of industry. Look at Elon Musk. I saw a montage recently where, look, I think rockets are fake and gay. I don't believe rockets are real, but the lesson still remains the same. That motherfucker supposedly has blown up 100 dozen rockets right on the platform before liftoff. No one understands how many failures and misadventures and misgivings Elon Musk has truly have. That motherfucker is a warrior spirit through and through. That motherfucker has failed and been through so much fucking pain to get his legs off the ground, and he's just been relentless. He's just been absolutely fucking relentless, and it's been true for me, bro. I don't really give a fuck too much about the outcome of anything. I just put my best foot forward every fucking day, and I have a tremendous amount of energy, which is a spiritual thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always said, bro, the biological, the chemical arguments of fucking micro optimization, perfect diet, all that type of shit. The smartest motherfuckers that I know do not have a good diet. I don't think diet impacts mental capacity in the way that people think it does. I've never really seen true mental impairment from people on these trash Big Mac diets. Now, the body itself will sustain damage. The body itself will 100% experience lethargy and be more tired and shit like that. It'll get sapped of energy. But as far as the brain, I don't think diet has any fucking impact on the machinations of the brain itself, because the smartest engineers, the people who are pushing civilization forward right now, they're on a fucking Big Mac Coca-Cola diet. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I even think about for
Yeah.
myself, because I've been thinking recently, I've seen some people on Twitter draw some parallels between me and Ray Pete. Now, I am unfamiliar with the works of Ray Pete. I know a little bit. I know he's a sugar guy, and I believe he's some sort of idealist from my very, very rudimentary understanding of Ray Pete. And I think the reason why people draw parallels between me and him is because he's the Apollonian. He has the Apollonian text down correctly, and I think I'm the Dionysian version of him. So everything that I'm telling you is coming from anecdotes. It's just coming from personal experience. And he has a more technical approach. Do you understand? So it's like I'm thinking about hypothyroid recently. I've been on a carnivore diet. I don't really eat carbohydrates at all. I've been on a fucking high fat steak diet for fucking 20 years. And I believe that what's happened in my particular case is I think there's no way I would have been able to sustain this long on that diet without the stimulants. So in other words, my cigarette consumption is like an auxiliary thyroid. Do you understand? So like the smoke that I'm inhaling becomes like sort of like a vestigial thyroid. Like that is 100% supercharging me in a way that I wouldn't be able to without carbs. So I think if you're on an all steak diet, I think the stems do sort of round out the corners, if that makes sense. Bro, this is all fucking connected. Everything I'm telling you is connected. It's all about vitality and energy. Everything. Everything spawns from there.
Absolutely. I can relate a lot to what you said about detachment. And one more thing that I wanted to point out is that always in this documentaries, whatever, movies, they'll always try to put it like, oh, look at this evil man. But when you listen to him, it's not the way it resonates. It's like, fuck, this guy, he's actually thinking about, I'll just do it all again. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not like, oh, I lost everything I had.
Dude, fuck no. It's never been about that, bro. It's never been about that. That's why I think I've got in my personal life, I think I have a vice grip on the master philosophy, which is that the material itself means absolutely fucking zero, man. My life just never changes. It never mattered what kind of money I had. I'm the exact same fucking guy. My environment changes, But I don't change. I don't change. It's so true, man. That fucking story of DeLorean. It's just like, dude, you can find this microcosm everywhere. It's right in front of your eyes. It's right in front of your eyes. So I appreciate that. This guy.
I lost you there.
Yo, yo, Hamza. Hamza. Motherfuckers putting kinks in the flow. Yo, Nate. I
What's
saw
up,
that.
group?
I saw that fucking brilliant thread that you fucking produced the other day.
Yeah, thank you, man.
You motherfuckers on the space need to click this dude's profile and go back to this thread he produced. It's extremely insightful, and I agree with every fucking line and all the pros in the thread. What's up, brother?
Appreciate it. I was just gonna actually talk about that. I didn't know if you saw that or not. I really think your sort of picture of listening to obsession or intuition, and like essentially my idea is listen to intuition and physiology. You know, that's sort of the Ray Peat idea. I talk a lot about him, and essentially I really just think it's following your senses. You know, which I think is our connection to the divine when you listen to your obsessions or intuition or edge, as you would say, or so where I think is like a thing that I'm seeing the connection that needs to be bridged is like, where do you see the role of physical health as a base? I know you sort of already talked about it with the stimulants, in connecting you to your obsession and fueling it rather than just following your obsession and just not caring about the physical part.
So there's
Since
two
I
ways.
tend, oh, since
I
I
think
tend to think when the health is fucked, like this literally comes first. Like if your gut is fucked, you're not going anywhere.
yes, but there's an irony there. So there's a horseshoe phenomenon that I've noticed. Like guys have been asking me a lot lately, how do you find your mission? And what's interesting about the question is I think the fastest way to find a mission is actually to nuke the fuck out of your gut health. Like if a guy is totally fucked up with ailments and health problems, he's going to get a mission very fast that's readily available to him. Because there is some sort of murky, like clarity emerges from the sort of epistemic murk, is my experience. So like a motherfucker with nuked gut, that motherfucker has a mission readily available to him, and that's probably to get his health back. But that's the stepping stone. So for me, what I've noticed is nobody accomplishes anything in an anabolic state. The anabolic state is like the Tesla coil where you're charging up a lot of energy. All the magic in life, all the force production comes from being in a catabolic state. It's when you're tearing apart your own flesh. It's when you're eating your own muscle. It's when you're fucking devouring yourself and your own mind. That's when the greatest works of art, it's when the greatest novels are created. It's where people find their fucking genius is in the catabolic state, which is why, and this circles back perfectly, the Venice muscle beachheads that I talk about that are obsessed with anabolism, which has become a right-wing phenomenon of being fucking strong and viral at all fucking times. Those motherfuckers don't do anything. They're the ultimate loiterers. They're the ultimate fucking malingerers. They don't do anything. They don't accomplish anything with all that supercharged energy. So at some point, once you build the foundation of health, and you have that peak crystal vitality that everyone's in search of, that's when you have to start devouring it in order to accomplish shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm going through it right now. I got a little bit of a fucking power belly right now. I'm usually fucking shredded. I usually have a fucking six pack. I can't even see definition in my abs right now. Cause I've been very convivial. I've been enjoying drink and food and I haven't been lifting that much. I don't give a fuck. I'm in a catabolic state right now, but I'm also producing my best works right now. You know what I mean? I'm finishing my book. I got a film crew here. I'm doing my docu-series. I'm launching myself into the fucking atmosphere, groping with ideas that other people aren't grappling with right now. And it's because I'm in a catabolic state. And so it's like, I think what you said in the thread that was the most profound, one of the most profound insights that you said in that thread. You said something to the effect of when you stopped lifting and you stopped training, that's when you sort of started to upregulate and sort of find your stride. And I found that to be extremely fucking fascinating. Can you amplify that idea for us?
Yeah, pretty much. My gut was completely fucked. And what you were saying completely aligns with my experience. Was that the worse my gut was, is actually what got me out. It is literally the thing that turned me to the way I sort of know what you said. Like, you get inventive when shit goes wrong. So that's kind of what led me into discovering the things that I talk about regarding health. I learned so much. I talk so much more clearly about it. I understand it so much more clearly, and that led me to the idea that the only way that could improve my health was through listening to the intuition. And my intuition said, I'm lifting, my gut's getting even worse, I'm getting bloated all the time. Shit is fucked. I can't keep it going. So the thing that I did was just have to drop it. I just have to just stop doing it for now. I'll get back to it when it's time, but I had to let my gut heal. And from listening to that, I was able to live properly. And then the thing also was that eating carbohydrates, eating in the way that supports the metabolism, again, it promotes the flow of energy. It promotes the flow upwards. I think life is a constant flow of energy. And when you support the metabolism through eating carbohydrates, easily digestible food, and just this whole picture of preventing harm and supporting energy, which I think kind of is in line with you. That's why I'm kind of I kind of want you to get into this idea of metabolism and carbohydrates, but I really just think that it's kind of a flow that you kind of just increase and just follow the senses.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree. Maybe you have some insight into this. So, a personal experience that I've had recently is I started to tinker with coconut water for hydration, and I found a brand who sells raw coconut water. So it's completely unpasteurized, and it's really good shit. But I've noticed when I drink it, it doesn't quench my thirst at all, and I'm fucking horrifically thirsty afterwards. Doesn't matter how much of it I drink. I've tested. I've drinking fucking 10 bottles in a day. I'm horrifyingly thirsty drinking this fucking coconut water, which I thought was supposed to be extremely hydrating. And that's like one of the first times where obviously I'm ingesting a lot more sugar than usual. Do you have any possible ideas there?
I have a feeling that it's actually making you increase your nutrient requirement. I feel like you might actually be hungry, not actually thirsty. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but I know what you're talking about that phenomenon of feeling like you're even more thirsty drinking it, and I think it just has to do with needing more nutrients.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I've been fasting like a motherfucker recently. Like super fasted. Like I'm probably at 1,000 calories a day.
I think the issue with fasting for kids that are younger is just how fucked the health was. This is one of the things that I understand the spiritual idea of fasting, but the thing about polyunsaturated fat and all the stressors that the younger kids have gone through, burning polyunsaturated fat is the thing that impairs the metabolism. So I actually considered fasting, and I realized through the reading Ray Pete that that is really just not a good thing to do. You're elevating free fatty acids in the bloodstream, causing inflammation. And then what this does is impair the metabolism even further. So then I realized, okay, this is too much of a stress. Someone that's older who doesn't have the stresses can get away with not eating carbohydrates, not fasting, but usually in a poor state of health with the younger generations, your liver is not as strong, all these different things you got to be aware of. So it's like, that's kind of the picture that I'm using.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then from the spiritual perspective, obviously, if you look at it through a prism, like if you do have a mission and you're dedicating your body and depleting resources to carry out a mission, that does have a revitalizing, restorative effect that's inexplicable because the mission acts as sort of like it's almost like plugging your fucking umbilical cord into a nutritional mechanism. Like the mission will feed you, and it'll feed you like virtuous qualities too. It'll feed you love. It'll feed you a sense of community. It'll feed you a lot of things that ordinary things cannot replace. Just having a mission in general is the most potent thing for vitality, in my opinion.
I would agree. I think that the one thing that it does is that it literally on a physiological level increases the metabolism. You know, it's I think of stuff as flow versus static. I think flow is having stimulating work. Anything that's static is 9 to 5. That's, you know, that's all of the shit that they promote you to do. That's putting you in the middle. You know, like that is what the static is. That's why people aren't drawn forward. We need to be drawn forward. We need to be chasing. We need to be sprinting. We need to be looking towards desire. We need to be looking towards obsession. That is the thing that keeps the flow going, you know?
100% agree. So it's fair to say that these cardio obsessive motherfuckers who do these fucking, you know, long term Ironman marathons, they run hundreds of miles, the cyclists, they're constantly just fucking burning themselves to pieces. I believe that they are metaphorically in search of a mission, and that's why they're doing such strenuous cardio.
Yeah,
Because
I actually think that if you think of like runners, why are they skinny? Why are they're pretty much hypometabolic. They are hypothyroid. And I think the reason that they want to run is because they are getting the illusion of repairing the flow of energy by sprinting or by going on these long distance endurance exercises. But it really, all it's doing is just prolonging the state. It's kind of just
bingo,
like of almost a fake way of improving it, but it's really making it worse.
bingo, 100%. So it's a placeholder for having a real mission.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I think so too. I think so too. Whereas the explosive, the hit, the high intensity movements are a little bit more aligned. Because you know how I've always said, like, the way you train, the way you do one thing is the way you're supposed to do everything. I think it's very odd to me how somebody lives a fast twitch lifestyle, but then goes in the gym and trains slow. Like, I believe you're supposed to train and lift and move the body in the same fashion that you move mentally. Those things reinforce one another. So that's why, like, I love the fast twitch explosive movements in the gym, because it matches perfectly the biochemistry in my mind. It matches the way my brain works. So like, if you put me in a gym and force me to jump on a machine and move slowly for max hypertrophy, that shit's gonna slow down my mental capacity. I've always had that intuition.
Yeah, this is, I think, the main picture of like bioenergetics, or what you would call like the Ray Peat kind of thinking, is that energy and structure are interdependent at every level. So if you think of like the things that you do as either building structure or depleting structure, it will be a guiding principle for everything you do. So again, if you lift and that's the only thing you do as high intensity, think of that as building energy and structure. And if you think of something like long distance endurance, that both of them. So
Yeah, I jive with that 100%. Beautiful, brother. Anything else? All right, Nate. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
yeah, appreciate it, man.
Blend. What's going on?
Popped in the conversation. Now I fast pretty regularly, and I do it when I'm facing changes. Um, what it's going to do is going, in my theory, is it's going to change your mindset, because you got to think, if you're in the wild and you no longer have food, your brain is going to have to say, what we're doing isn't working, so we need to think differently. So you almost get like a high where you start looking at different perspectives. And the heart of what you're really talking about is adaptation. So when you strengthen, um, now if you lift weights, you do the same exercise for a year straight, your body's just going to adapt to that. So you're going to have to constantly make these changes. And same thing with the runner. And I would just point out that everyone has different metabolism. So there's different approaches for different metabolisms, different goals, like you're saying. But I see like the synergy you're talking about. Um, but again, and that's different in respect to what the individual is trying to.
Cannot do the rambling anymore. It's got to stop. Zachary, what's up, bro?
Bert, what's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
So just a quick one. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this. This could help the audience. So the way you speak and your vocabulary and the way you structure sentences,
Yeah.
how did you learn to do that? Is this like natural to you, or is this something you learned over time, I guess? Could you expand on that?
No, it's natural. I mean, I was an avid reader in my youth, but whenever I would read a word, I never really had to look anything up. I would just receive it from context clues, and it would just be fucking, downloaded into my fucking firmware. Like always been a natural thing, bro. Like I've never once had to be a prolific writer or fucking study a book. Never had to do any of that, man. It's just been a kind of like a naturally unleashing, just like a talent that I've always had, and I've obviously leaned into it heavy. But yeah, man. I mean, it's a good question because it's like that's not you don't get good at things, in my opinion, by studying. Like it's I've never had to study anything other than myself. Like it's just never that style has never made any sense to me. Like I've just always been able to fucking knife through concepts, and whatever it is that I fucking needed to retain, I've always relied on my body to retain. Like if I read a book and I'm forgetful of main points, I've always just assumed that for whatever reason my lifestyle or my brain and my body does not need to retain that information, and that's why I don't remember it. If I remembered it, then it was something that I had to hold on to. So I'm not going to go back and study concepts that I missed because I just have the natural inclination to assume that if it's not downloaded, there's a reason for that. I trust my body, bro, till the fucking bitter end. My body tells me everything that I need to fucking do. It tells me everything going on, and I've always just used that as sort of my central roadmap.
Got it. Yeah. 'Cause I mean, I'm sure you hear it a lot. I mean, your vocabulary is fucking unbelievable. So just wanted to point that out, man. That's all. That's all I
Yeah,
had
thank you, man. Appreciate it.
for sure.
Alexander, what's up, buddy?
Hey, sir. Thank you for letting me speak. Appreciate that. I'll just be real quick because I know you're doing a fast-paced space. Okay, so my last boss worked with Bill Gates, and I worked with him, just computer programmer dork. But let me get to my point. So basically, a lot of people say, "Oh, Gates, smart this." No, really, he was a dummy, and his parents were political and socialites in the area where I was working at. Okay, and I think that's just the same thing with guys like Elon Musk when you're talking about their points and what they eat and if they're creative or not. I know that doesn't have to go really down deep with what you were saying, but that's just some of the intel that I got. Also, I smoke cigarettes too and train, and I like a bunch of your shit, man. So peace.
Peace. Ninja. It's taking a second for the shit to connect. Yo, Christian,
Yo,
what's good?
so what do you think of numerology? And has it worked for you? Do you believe it?
I mean, I don't really fuck with it too heavy. I take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I've done readings just for fun. They've been pretty lethally accurate, if I'm being honest. I mean, Gary on here, he did my fucking reading. I mean, I'm a master number, so I'm probably fucking biased because I'm one of the
Hmm.
supposedly, I'm one of the rare personality types. But,
Right.
um,
Have you used it for like making money
well,
at
it's
all?
interesting because my life path number is 11, and 11s are supposedly phenomenal speakers. Obama's an 11. All the biggest
Yeah.
podcasters are at 11s.
Charismatic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely patterns worth recognizing, but
Hmm.
I can bore holes in any ontology. Like I can bore holes in any ideology that I want to. It's like
Right. Right.
I can find tons of flaws in just about any. I can even find flaws in my own philosophy if I really want
Yeah.
to. Um,
Yeah.
just
I
using
got.
kind of those razors, Occam's razor, fucking Hanlon's razor. Like I'm just good at fucking plunging into shit and puncturing down to truth. But it's cool. It's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
how is there not validity to the fact that I'm a life path 11? I mean, a lot of
exactly.
things fucking add up. You know what I'm saying?
It all makes
It does,
sense.
man. In some very odd
It's
way.
sometimes, but it's not like 90% accurate. It's not like nothing's 100.
Nah, man. I take everything with a fucking grain of salt. I take everything with a grain of salt in life, even my own ideas. I mean, I'm a very agile thinker. Like I will discard beliefs in a fucking hurry if I find a better way of doing things. You know what I mean? Like a
Love it.
lot. I don't even. I'm
Yeah,
unrecognizable to the guy that I was even 2 years ago. I read some of my old tweets. I'm like, I don't even know if I believe that anymore.
yeah. You gotta, discard shit and trash things and regrow.
100%, man.
How about full moon? Full moon fasting. It's a big thing on Twitter right
Bro,
now. What do you think?
I honestly don't really participate in those rituals at all. I mean, my girl
Mm,
does, and I kind of have fun with it sometimes, but it's just not
yeah,
really anything that I think has an effect on my life, man. I'm very pragmatic when it comes to like magic. If
yeah,
I can't see magic happening before my very eyes, I'm very,
yeah,
very I'm a tough nut to crack when it comes to shit like that. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I'm just not a
yeah.
superstitious
You
guy.
got, yeah, yeah, yeah. I like it. All right. Thank
Yep.
you. Thank you.
Yo,
Sure, what's up?
uh, sick right now, 17 years old. Was wondering about your opinion on Arthur Schopenhauer. Looking for books to read.
Mm, I don't know too much about him at all.
Mm.
I really don't.
Thoughts on other German philosophers? Any stand out?
No.
Mm.
Honestly, no. The interesting thing, bro, is I've gotten a lot of DMs. People will quote passages and send me like little blurbs from some of these fucking German philosophers, and they'll be like, "Look, this is in alignment with you." It's like, dude, I've never really read any of this shit. I have a very rudimentary understanding of it. If you live life hard enough and go into the belly of the beast, you're going to naturally come across all of these concepts. It's like when people draw lines and parallels to me to other people, I'm like, that's fucking interesting, but they had to study to learn that. I just learned that through fucking living life. So it's like
Mm.
you just naturally chance upon these conclusions, man.
Yeah, so a better suggestion for a 17-year-old would just be go and do shit in life and just.
Nah, I think you're still of the age where reading is extremely valuable for sure. I mean, I think you
Mm.
should have a voracious appetite and definitely fucking do a lot of reading. I think reading is very valuable in that sense, but it does come to a certain point, I think, in your early 20s where you either write your own fucking book or you just start fucking implementing the shit that you're learning.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yep.
bro.
What's up, Mark?
Hi, Brett. Hi. Well, the question I've got to you is, you're talking about like a lot of these young guys are on when they're on here. It's like they're trying to maximise all elements of their life, which is the correct path. But as you get a wee bit older, like I'm a couple of years younger than you, but you kind of you get a level of kind of confidence and belief that just is like you almost can't fake it when you're 24. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like you just kind of you become a lot more settled in exactly what you're all about. And like I think obviously it's a bit easier in life in sales because I've got my own business as well. And you know when you're speaking to people at this age, as opposed to when you're like 24, do you know what I mean? Trying to speak, trying to sell, people obviously take you a lot more seriously. I was just wondering your take on that.
People take you seriously what? What's that last part?
No, I'm just saying, you know, people are in their 30s. You became your confidence is more just kind of it's kind of settled through experience of life, as opposed to say, for example, trying to get your trying to go down rabbit holes of philosophy or trying to get jacked when you're younger. Do you know what I mean? You've got like you just know yourself a lot better. It seems to rub off, if you know what I mean, when you're actually speaking to people in business when you're a bit older. I was just wondering your take on that. You know how much easier it is in your 30s when it comes to business, selling to people, convincing people. Do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, age is hella status. That's what these younger guys don't understand is age is instant quick status. You know what I mean? Readily
Exactly.
available in the fucking pop can. It's the pause that refreshes. When you hit a certain age, mid 30s, you ain't even in your fucking prime yet. And I have a theory that I'm rotating that I think is 100% true. It's that I think the 40s for a man is their prime golden years. I don't believe at all. I think your 40s is your best decade on this planet if you did it right. Your
Yeah.
20s is just it's the experimentation phase. It's where you can crash and burn everything a million fucking times and find a bunch of different iterations of yourself, one that you can finally respect. You know what I mean? I said this on the last spaces. You can actually piss away your whole 20s and be a phenom in your 30s. That's a very, very probable life path. But
Well, yeah. Sorry, continue.
I think a lot of these guys in their 20s seem to think that once you hit past 25 that you're getting old and that life gets shittier. And it's very, very far from the truth. You know what I mean? I think it's part of the inversion. Women used to be scared to past the age of their fucking early 20s. Now you got guys on here talking about they're scared that they don't have kids when they're 30. The fuck is that?
Yeah, I would agree.
It's absurd.
Because I feel like my 20s, to an extent, mirrored yours. I mean, I know you say you're out, you're kind of building relationships, socializing. You put yourself out there probably a little bit more than what I did. But as an observer or a thinker, you're always learning how people work, etc. And that's like a great tool that you can. It's not very monetizable when you get to your 30s. You know what I mean? Because you know more than a lot of people in that regard. But also what you're saying about, I mean, I know people at my age that are like coming up mid 30s, and they think of themselves as over the hill, and I find that strange. It's a strange one.
Yeah, I mean it's fucking pathetic is what it is, bro. I mean, it's
Yeah, no,
pathetic.
that's the best
It's
word.
pathetic, bro. My hair is fucking graying. I got fucking wrinkles. I got crow's feet coming out of my eyes and shit. I don't fucking have a skincare fucking routine. I don't wash my face and fucking use fucking tonics and all this weird fucking shit, bro. I'm embracing the fuck out of senescence and aging. It's the fucking best part of being a man, bro. You get that fucking wizard patriarch fucking arc. That's the fucking best place to fucking be, bro. I think anti-aging is one of the gayest, most homosexual enterprises that a man could fucking undertake. I don't give a fuck what I look like. In fact, I honestly am looking for ways to accelerate my aging. That's where I differ from these motherfuckers on Twitter. I want to be aged. I want to drive my body into the fucking floor and see what's possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want my face to look as leathery as fucking possible, bruised. I don't give a fuck. You know what's funny, man? I was just fucking around with my boy the other day, and I was joking about the fact that I guarantee you in this soft ass culture that plastic surgery is gonna do a 180, and I guarantee you guys are gonna start getting plastic surgery to add battle scars to their faces. I have this feeling that as things get into this more rugged era, men are
Yeah,
going to get plastic surgery to look tougher, and they're going to get plastic surgery to fucking add in and tattoo like scars and weird shit on their fucking face to make them look more masculine. That's what I think is we're headed. I think we're headed in the complete opposite direction of youth and beautification. Like, bro,
I
I'm
agree with
not
you. I
joking.
think
I want to age. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't give a fuck how my face ages. I don't give a flying fuck. I'm looking for ways to accelerate aging because I
yeah,
believe there's a ton of fucking wisdom in that, and I believe there's a ton of self acceptance in that.
it's very like if you say to like my brother's um, girlfriend, she does her line of work. She does the injections to people and that, and she's like saying, "Would you ever get that?" And you're like, and I'm like, "Nah, I couldn't care less." But it's you're maybe in your late 20s or so. You see changes and that, and by the time a few years later pass, and you don't really care. You know what I mean? You
Dude,
just
it's
kind of like fuck it.
because nothing can replace being a man but being a man. That's what no one
Exactly.
no that's what no one fucking understands, bro. It's like it's whatever's dangling between your legs is what makes you a fucking man. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why these body types, these doughy, pudgy motherfuckers are getting all the chicks that these guys want because they're just their true nature, their true essence is masculine. It's not about what you look like as a man whatsoever. It's completely fucking irrelevant.
Very true.
Completely fucking irrelevant. There's nothing that can replace being a man. Not even owning Google. Not even fucking owning fucking SpaceX like Elon Musk. Like your accomplishments literally can't even eclipse being a fucking man, dude. There's no
True.
proxy. There's no proxy for it. It's the one thing that you actually have to be to fucking orchestrate it and to make it happen. And
Yeah.
so
True.
I I am completely against the anti-aging fucking regimens. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I have furrowed brows. I've had people fucking offer me Botox and shit, and I just laugh in their face. That's the gayest fucking thing I could ever possibly imagine doing. My hair's been graying since I was 19. I've always rolled with it. I would never dye my hair. The day I dye my hair is where I give you permission to put a fucking bullet in my head. Please,
Yeah, it's
just
so
end my
it's
life.
so foreign though. It's such a foreign way of thinking to the majority of people. They just cannot understand how you're content with it. It is pathetic, as you say. It's like, well, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's your essence, man. Your essence is everything that matters. It's what people feel when you talk. It's what people sense when you walk. It's an aura. It's imperceptible. You know what I mean? Like the thing that makes you a man is completely imperceptible. It's the way you carry yourself. It's your fucking posture. It's all the things that are unsaid. It's all the things that are unseen. That's the beauty of being a man. That's why I tell you that men are the irrational sex, because men are the hiders of their talent. You know what I'm saying? Like a man is judged on his essence, whereas a woman is more logically assessed. A woman is assessed by very base things like beauty. That's just very readily apparent to you. But a man, there's so much more to the machinery. There's so much more going on under the hood to a man that's imperceivable and imperceptible. You know what I mean? That's why I told you the pretty boy archetype is cursed, and the blessed archetype is rugged, handsome. Because
You don't tend to get the pretty boy archetype that actually is psychologically one step ahead all the time. You know, when you're talking about understanding women, when you're talking about, you know, it's rare to get those pretty boys that actually have that kind of grasp of what's going on. It is quite rare that. So you're
oh, buddy, let me tell you something. The fucking pretty boys are as close to the incel. They're much closer to the incel than you could possibly imagine. Yeah, the pretty boys are ran through, and men are definitely jealous for sure. That's 100% fact. But these motherfuckers are ran through, and women put a lot of their darkness on these men because these guys have a really hard time locking down a bitch for an extended period of time. They can get sex all
yeah,
day easily, but maintaining a relationship and maintaining standing is really really tough for these guys. That's why I said the incels should be a little bit easier on themselves because they're closer to the cursed pretty boy than you think. And like I just said, the blessed archetype is rugged handsome because rugged handsome actually does command natural respect from both sexes. It's
yeah,
implied. It's implied. It's tacit. You know what I mean? It's like something that you can't even really articulate, but everybody knows it when they see it. It's like the Icarus thing, man. If you're too hot as a guy, it's like flying too close to the sun. Women don't take you seriously, and other men don't take you seriously.
yeah. No, it's true. See, even with like example, like if you've got you've seen a girl, you know, even someone from the past, but you've kind of like fleshed out a problem that she's been having that she can't kind of wrap her head around, and she thinks, oh Christ, this guy really knows what he understands. You almost kind of you're in their mind for, you know, you're kind of in their mind, as you say, locked. You know, it's like because obviously you're something different. You're aware, if you know what I mean. You actually understand. It's quite rare in that regard nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, look, the psychological avenues is where you demonstrate competence, and it's also where you demonstrate dominance nowadays. You know what I mean? In the current climate, it is a psychological battleground, and I do believe women need to feel the full force and expression of what you're able to do mentally. The mental gymnastics, you got to be able to hang in the game with women from a mental perspective. You got
Yeah,
to be a better gamer than they are. That's just like it's a must. This is mandatory fucking learning here. You know what I mean? You got to be cat like, and you got to
yeah, for sure.
have that fucking anima, bro. Let me tell you something. Anger is masculine, but rage is feminine. And a lot of guys don't understand this. And I've always talked about how the hyper masculine archetype is closer to the feminine than you could possibly think. It's an eyelash away from flowing into the feminine. Look, there was an article that came out, I think, a couple of days ago, and everyone was calling this guy a fag, but they missed the point. This dude, Israel Adesanya, this fucking UFC fighter, the guy's literally about as alpha and hypermasculine as you could possibly imagine. But what he did is, and this is a publicity stunt, but the lesson remains the same. He's painting his nails for this fight. He's painting his fucking nails, and he publicly stated, he's like, look, bro, I'm gonna fucking paint my nails feminine, and I'm gonna knock you out with these fucking painted nails. Now, what
Yeah.
no one understands is that this is a man who is so hyper masculine that he can now afford to experiment with the feminine anima, which is rage. So him painting his nails is an artistic expression of rage. Now, I will tell you this, okay? And I'm gonna I'll put my name on the line on this one. This man is going into this fight enraged, feral, with the fierceness of the feminine. The type of fierceness you see in the lion kingdom where a female lion protects her young. This man is using this energy to foment and stoke this entire fight. The other motherfucker he's pitted against is stuck in anger. Rage
Yeah.
wins against anger all day of the fucking week. And that's what no one wants to understand, is that the hyper masculine does have a very feminine side. They have a woman within, a wilder woman within, that drives them forward. You know, if you've ever paid attention, you will notice that a lot of these very powerful historical figures that we look up to, these heroes and these titans of industry, these motherfuckers who are magnets and firebrands, a lot of these men had very, very terrible love lives. Very terrible love life. They had a very, very difficult time holding down a wife. They get cheated on. They're constantly being fled from. And what I believe the phenomenon going on here is that these men are so hyper ambitious, and they've been so enraged, and they have such a fierceness in them that is feminine, that they basically have a woman within them that is driving them forward. So because they have a woman deep inside them, they almost don't even need the comfort and love of another woman, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah, it does.
there's a woman within pushing them. And so
But do
that's
they
what.
care though when they're cheated on? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, do these guys do they really care? You know, it's
Of course they care, because it
yeah,
fucking it's a Rorschach test. It puts their masculinity in the spotlight, and 100% is an assault on the ego. But
yeah, true.
these men are complete in the sense that the anima and the animus, the masculine and the feminine within inside them, are reconciled. And that's why they're able to do extraordinary things that normal people can't comprehend or understand, is because their shadow is integrated. The shadow is integrated. This motherfucker, Israel Adesanya, his shadow is integrated. And he's using kabuki theater to make it entertaining for the audience. And a guy with a low IQ will say, no, he's just being a faggot by painting his nails. It's like, dude, you
Yeah.
don't understand the expression. Like, you don't understand the symbolism behind this. This motherfucker is channeling feminine forces, which are extremely fucking chaotic and powerful. Like,
No,
this
no,
this
yeah,
motherfucker is gonna maul. He's gonna maul this other guy. He's gonna get fucking mauled. He's gonna get gored like a fucking ox. I'm telling you. The writing is on
yeah.
the wall.
I'll keep my eye out for it. Anyway, I'll let you go. I'll let someone else speak. Cheers.
Yep. Let's get Kenny up here. Yo, Kenny. All right, we gotta get our
Yo,
yo.
yo, Brute. So you've been talking about this energy and vitality in life. So
Yeah.
just wondering how uh me as a young man can harness it and like bring it to surface. I don't know how it really works.
Give me a very, very brisk synopsis of what your day to day looks like. Quickly. Go into it. How do you spend your
Wake
time?
up,
What's your
wake up.
job? What's your job?
My job right now is in sales.
It's in sales. So it's eat what you kill, correct? You're on commission
Yeah.
fully?
Well, I'm still looking for jobs like outreach.
Okay. Do you Have you ever had your back against the wall? Or do you have cushy safety nets? Do you have infrastructure in your life right now? If you fail on any endeavor, do you have parents that are going to clean up the mess? Do you have cushion?
Possibly parents could be a cushion.
Okay. So the only way to awaken the beast within a man
Hmm.
is to live life with no safety nets. Meaning, if you fail an endeavor or if you fail a risk and you have nothing, when I say nothing to fall back on, I mean only yourself. And there is a weird phenomenon where when men know in the back of their head that someone will always clean up the messes that they make, they get severely emotionally handicapped and hamstrung. It's like being cut off at the fucking knees. So the only expression that I've been able to see work in this domain is men that are taking huge fucking risks. I'm not talking just financially. I'm talking about like with your safety, sanity, livelihood, all that shit. Like, look, sales is all fine and dandy, right? Sales is great. But
Right.
what sales really is at the end of the day, and I'm sure you're selling somebody else's product. If you're selling somebody else's product, there's no way you're living at full capacity. I don't give a fuck how much people make. I don't give a fuck if you're the most killer salesman if you've done 200 million in sales. If you're selling somebody else's product, you are living a docile life. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. So if you want to awaken the beast, I would say that you have to be an enterpriser. You have to fucking start some sort of domain that's under your own command, and you have to be willing to crash that ship into the fucking front of the iceberg. Have to. Whether that's a side project or not, because that's the only way that you're going to pull off the mask and reveal who you really are. That's it. There's no other way to do it.
Yo, Bruce.
Yo, Gallagher,
Hey,
the
man.
up and coming
So
rising
you,
star.
yeah,
Talk
man.
to us.
So last space, I think you said you ran up 17 mil and then
Yeah.
blew it in like I think you said a few years. Can you touch on that? How you ran it up in the first place and how you blew it? And then like lastly, if I think you said that you kind of like you set you have systems in place now so you don't do it again. Is it even the wrong thing to do to just fucking run it up, blow it, and then just repeat that cycle ongoing? That's my
That's a good
question for you.
question. So in 2017, I went on an improbably statistic tear that I don't know that has ever been done before. I started with about 10 grand and I turned it into 17 million in 6 months. I went on a streak that is one of the wildest stories you could possibly ever hear. It's almost unbelievable. It's surreal. I couldn't even write about it. I do have documentation, and I flirted with the idea of releasing the string of bets because I have all the tickets that actually fucking brought me up there. But basically, I was taking shots in the most wild, wounded animal fashion you could possibly imagine in your life. I was putting up shots. I was trying to lose, quite frankly. And when you live in a way where you're at max entropy and you have so much fucking gusto, sometimes things fucking click for you. And it did for me. But the thing is, when I torched all that money, it was very, very fast. I bought a bunch of toys. I had a fucking Rolls Royce Dawn convertible. I bought a fucking $3 million penthouse in Vegas. I had assets, but I fucking ravaged through them really quickly and fucking liquidated everything as I was falling backwards. Now, the interesting thing about that story is when I torched the money, I was not rattled. I was not shaken up at all. I didn't think about yesterday. I wasn't forlorn. I wasn't crestfallen. I wasn't looking for a fucking balcony to jump off. It was proof and reinforcement to me that not only would I get it all back, but what I would get it all back in a fashion that would far exceed whatever I had before. That was the grand epiphany for me was that the money didn't change a fucking thing. Yeah, I had a little bit more fun, but dude, I was always that guy. I was always that guy. So I always knew that in the end game things, when things played out, I always knew I was going to fall into a fucking bag like that, of course, because I'm psycho. I'm putting up shots that no one can even fucking comprehend. I'm placing wagers that are so stomach wrenching that no one can understand. I'm willing to see, here's the difference between me and the fucking average person. Whatever I have at my disposal on a daily basis, I'm willing to put at risk. And that makes you very, very dangerous. Meaning, I don't live like tomorrow exists. I don't give a fuck about the future. I don't ever look ahead to the future. I don't think about tomorrow. I don't think about planning. I don't think about security. I am willing to put whatever the fuck I have in front of me on a day-to-day basis, and I'm willing to put it at risk. I don't give a fuck because I know I'm always going to get it back. Because I'm so reckless, it does have a rubber band effect where I'm able to pull in and haul in and do magic tricks that people cannot fucking comprehend. I always come into windfalls of massive sources of money. And it comes when I least expect it, when I'm just chilling, when I'm relaxed, when I'm just putting up shots, living my life ordinarily. Like nothing in my lifestyle changes. That's the thing that I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean? Like that's the wisdom. The wisdom is I'm the same guy no matter what's in my pocket, what's in my bank account. So I can afford to put up shots that an ordinary person can't afford to put up because I know if I lose, same guy. In fact, my swagger increases. My swagger and my confidence increases the more misfortune that God puts in front of me. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my favorite quotes in a movie, the movie Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. Danny Glover just had his daughter kidnapped in the movie. And he's been going through absolute hell. His whole fucking personal life's falling apart. They're two cops, and it's a buddy cop movie. And Danny Glover's driving late at night, and it's raining, and he's driving a beater. And he turns to Mel Gibson in the fucking driver's seat, and he's like, look, man, he's like, the only way I can describe what's happening right now is that God must seriously fucking hate me. And Mel Gibson turns to him and casually says, yeah, well, you better start hating him back because it works for me. And like that moment just completely fucking encapsulates the masculine imperative of like, there's so many times in your life where you're on a bad streak or things are going wrong. And you almost get the sense that there's a curse on you. You get the sense that some divine deity is fucking holding you back. Like it's inexplicable how you could run into a streak of such fucking bad luck. And you start to feel like God despises you. Well, the reality of the situation is that it's not that nature loves courage. It's that God loves courage. And when you have the balls to stick your chest out and return the hatred to the invisible entity that you think is hating you, and you're willing to clash your antlers up against his, that's when you start to get rewarded, and that's when you earn the undying love of the universe. So that's what luck is. Luck is just a product of a motherfucker who's willing to show more hatred towards the invisible forces that are fucking crushing him in that very moment. And that's why Mel Gibson says that it works for him, because what he's really saying is he's not taking it so seriously. You know what I mean? He's just going to return fire. He's just going to return fire no matter what the circumstances are.
That's fucking slick. I don't know how long my bio has been God loves bravery. But yeah, that's fucking slick. Man, how do you live that life where it's just every single 24 hours you reset the clock and throw it all on the fucking line? That kind of like raw dog lifestyle. How do you run that shit if you have a group of your boys, your family, all right, and there's girlfriends and there's younger brothers and it's all kind of like with you. How do you run that shit if it's not just you solo out and about?
Dude, it makes you so fucking hungry to stay on offense. Like you can never really afford to slack and play defense when you're in that mindset. So every single day you're waking up a fucking ravenous beast because you know you got to make stuff happen. So it just keeps your fucking fingertips on the fucking wheel, man. And the thing is like you're always fucking searching. You're always hunting. You're always fucking looking for a rock to upturn. Dude, the craziest thing about modern day America, I don't think you live in America, but the point still remains the same, is like the opportunities, the boundless opportunities that exist every single day to flip little money into crazy money is so fucking absurd. Like I have a boy of mine who put $150 into some fucking Pepe coin earlier this year. $150, and he turned it into 300 grand in I think a month or some shit. Like that's a fucking retarded return. But here's the thing: these opportunities are happening every day. Like, you have to have the faith and confidence that there is a correct sequence of moves on a daily basis where these massive fucking jackpots and avalanches are triggered. It's a fact. There's moves right now that exist in every marketplace where if you sequence them together chronologically in the right sequence of moves, you have a 3,000, 5,000, 10,000x every day. Every fucking day. This is happening. And I've seen it and I've witnessed it. So why the fuck would I ever get down on myself for a loss or if I took a shot and I got rocked when I know the next day there's that same fucking opportunity right in front of my face? You know what I mean? And
Fuck
then
yeah.
bro, like you fucking talk about family and kids and shit. I mean, dude, I have a family. And having the fucking family reinforces this identity even further. I've taken more risk since having a fucking family. Because I love when the pressure cooker's on because that intensity just mounts and mounts and mounts and mounts. I cannot sit still in my fucking living room ever fucking feeling sorry for myself no matter what kind of misfortune I come across. I can't do it. I wake up so fucking energized to get out of my house and fucking attack the day, make phone calls, find opportunities, craft things. I'm a fucking craftsman. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just always putting shit together, always fucking building my fucking army. Bro, I have a fucking legion behind me. You know what I mean? And I think that's how you survive these storms is you do have to have a militia. You have to have like a private militia that basically works under you. And you have to have fucking zealous fucking disciples who are willing to go through the war with you. I mean, God knows, man, right now as we speak, I got like 10 guys who are fucking rolling with me every day. We got the fucking US Open tennis tournament right now. This is my biggest tennis tournament of the year. This is where I make the most amount of money. And I got motherfuckers who are flying out here, sitting in fucking rooms with me. We're deploying fucking crypto. We're fucking firing to the fucking moon every fucking day. If we lose, we reload. We're fucking hitting up everybody. We're building funds. We're building all sorts of fucking shit every day. Because I have that loyalty because I'm willing to stand in front of everybody and take the heat. And you can only live this life if you're willing to take all the fucking heat. I want it. I want the smoke. I want to stand in front of everybody. Let me fucking take the pain. Let me fucking take the pain for everybody. I will hold it simultaneously on my big ass shoulders and we're going to get through it because I don't quit. That's the thing, bro. And I was saying that earlier. No matter what the sentiment in the market is, I'm risk on at all times. Because this is when, like right now, bro, is a perfect example. Everyone's being a fucking pussy right now because everyone believes in the recession. Everyone's looking at the fucking axis on the charts. They're freaking out about the fucking market, the fucking decline, the bears. Bro, the bears are going to get crushed this year. I'm telling you, next couple months, crypto's going to pop off again. It's got another run. It's got legs. There's fucking money everywhere. Real estate's still fine. These motherfuckers are tripping about doom and gloom. Like, things are fucking phenomenal right now. And the smart guys who have dry powder on the side, who are going through the max pain right now because the market's not that volatile, these motherfuckers are going to become living gods. This is how you become a living god, is when you can take the max pain and you keep a little bit of powder on the side and you spread it out. Bro, some of these small market caps, we're talking multi-generational wealth is about to be created here. 100%. I would say all the way up through 2025. Like, this is the time to start stacking money. Fear, greed, there's blood in the streets. Everyone's freaking out. We're like at the stone bottom right now. It ain't getting lower than this. This is the time to buy. So it's like I have teams. I got guys under my belt right now who are fucking stacking bread. We got cheddar loaded. My cannons are loaded. We got money in the gun. Like I said, bro, I've had 2 people from Twitter fly out this last week to sit with me in a fucking hotel lobby. And we have mapped this out systematically. We're gearing up for the biggest fucking play this week on tennis. We got fucking bets going every day. We got fucking crypto. Bro, it's an army. And so that's how I survive the storms, is I have that fucking private militia. I have people who will fucking die for me because I don't ask anybody to do something I ain't willing to do. So if you're deploying capital, I'm fucking deploying capital. And I'm putting every fucking thing I got, my shirt, my livelihood, I'm putting everything in the fucking middle. How do you not get behind a guy like that? How do you not get behind a motherfucker who's willing to fucking do that? Because most people want to lead from the back and I lead from the front. So, bro, networking, relationships, it all stabilizes the system. It all stabilizes the system. You know what I mean? Like I love working with sickos. You have to be a little bit mentally fucking deranged to pull off these huge fucking scores. And those are the only type of motherfuckers I'm interested in working with. I know you can relate. I see your feed.
Fucking phenomenal, man. I fucking dig it. Fuck yeah.
Appreciate you, brother. Let's get this guy on, Daniel. Yo, Daniel. Daniel. Come on, boy. Get you.
Hey, Bru.
Yo.
You said that you're a hunter, right? Uh,
I mean, you
what
tell me.
about the farmers? Do farmers have a chance in winning in life?
Say that again?
Do farmers have a chance in winning in life?
Fuck yeah. Dude, fuck yeah. It's a natural part of the ecosystem. Farmers need hunters, hunters need farmers. I've been saying this. Look, bro, the true path of life that no one really wants to accept, and if they did accept this, their life would be a lot better, is like there's guys who refuse to accept that they're just slightly down on the totem pole than other people. There's people who refuse to accept that they're beta. There's nothing wrong with being a fucking beta, with being a shadow guy, with being second in command. Bro, these motherfuckers have great lives, a lot of them. They fucking are more than capable of having an endearing, loving wife and kids and fucking good income and shit. Here's the thing though. If you're a farmer brain, you have no choice but to join alliances with hunters because you don't want the spotlight. A natural beta doesn't fucking want the limelight. They don't want the spotlight and they don't want the smoke. But where they really, really, really are useful and utilitarian is when they're pitching in with men who are bred for and from war. And tributaries, estuaries, have an uncanny ability of uniting downstream. So when you take a beta and you take an alpha and you combine them together, the beta finds fulfillment and contentment with seeing the alpha win. Do you understand? Because when the alpha wins, it elevates everybody, including the beta. It's just that the problem is in society, everyone wants to be the alpha. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. It's very hard to lift projects off the ground that way. You got to have motherfuckers who accept their identity for what they are, find a winner. The beta's job is to locate winners and ask how they can help and pitch in. That's it. And then you are literally straddling the line of your destiny. You are accomplishing and bringing to fruition your destiny as a man. There's nothing wrong with that role. It's a pivotal, central, integral role right now. You know, most of these influencers that you see that are absolutely raking in dollars and fame and status and whatever right now, it's a bunch of betas around them who are making it happen. It's the betas behind the scenes who are the brilliant marketers, the brain trust, the guys who are coming up with the clever fucking edits. Those are the betas. Those are the betas that are smart enough to accept their role and they're helping winners push the agenda. And those betas are fat and happy. They're fucking fat and happy because they're doing exactly what they're designed to do by nature. Not everyone is a fucking apex alpha fucking warlord. That makes zero sense. And that's why society right now is a little bit twisted and contorted, is because people have been taught that you need to be alpha to have a great life. That's far from the fucking truth. I told you, I said this on the last spaces, we are soon entering the era of the common man. Even the people who are on the front lines right now, like the number ones, they're not really living the best life. It's actually the betas right now that are running society because betas invented capitalism. Do you understand? It's not alpha males who invented Wall Street, it's betas because betas are brilliant behind the scenes and they're the ones who build technology and build shit as a defense mechanism for not being alpha. So it's like, that's why Zuckerberg's a beta. That's why Elon Musk, you could even call him a beta because betas and alphas are closer than you fucking think. So a lot of these beta males, because they don't have the natural raw skill set to succeed, they have to go build and invent shit to make a name for themselves. You get me?
Yes, thank you.
100%. Yo, power. You got stage fright. Motherfucker got stage fright.
Yo, Brute. Thank you, bro, for changing my mindset. But I'm gonna go now. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Yo, Joey. Trying to connect to you, bro. Think your connection's fucked. Yo, Nower. What's up, buddy?
Brute,
Yo,
how you doing, brother?
I'm great.
You can hear me?
Yep.
So I had a quick question. It's basically about the last tweet that you put up about holding too much frame makes you too passive.
Yeah.
My father constantly tells me about keeping things to myself, but I constantly found myself outrageously just speaking about the things that I'm doing. And it's this constant thing of like thinking that I need to kind of keep things to myself. But I don't find it more of a thing where I see more results with that. I remember when I was doing sales at this Honda dealership, and I was talking the most shit, and I was getting in people's faces, and I mean like literally saying, "I'm about to take the money out of your own pocket," and literally pointing at people's faces. I'm gonna absolutely just destroy everyone. This was like the 2 months of being into sales, and I got like first number one salesman throughout 4 to 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, things went crashing because you said one thing about when you basically happen to just keep that constant momentum once you're winning. I found myself kind of sabotaging myself. And I kind of spoke to my dad about it. And he mentioned one of the things about keeping shit to yourself. And then that's when things went downhill. So I just wanted to see what you had to say about that and going on from there.
When you started to hold things in and not fucking make these grand proclamations, you're saying you backslid hard.
Yes.
Yeah, so the hardest thing to do as a man is to do what you just said. It's to constantly make grand proclamations and make them true. It's extremely fucking resource intensive and it's extremely fucking exhausting, especially if your self-image doesn't align with that person of success. It takes a very, very rare caliber of breed of the type of man who can constantly talk his way to the fucking top, because obviously there's accountability levels along the way that you have to hit. There's metrics and shit and quotas that are invisible that you have to hit as soon as you're fucking upstepping. You know what I'm saying? So in your case, the self-sabotage was obviously done on purpose because you fucking exhausted yourself. You were outperforming your self-image. Now, here's something interesting. It depends on your upbringing, okay? Kids who grow up in a wealthy, affluent environment, if you drop them anywhere in the fucking world, they'll get rich in a year, sheerly out of their disgust of poverty because of the upbringing, right? We're talking about blood here. Poor people are poor simply because they don't want to get wealthy. They'll tell you that they want to get wealthy, but they don't really want it, because poor people grow up in an environment and it's almost like a genetic memory, especially if you have come from many, many, many ancestors of people who were poor and came from poverty. It's very difficult to break out of your own caste. And the reason is because those poor people, they only know how to do grunt work and they only know how to stay in the trenches. That's why this glamorization of being in the trenches has sort of become a presiding philosophy around these parts. It's because it's poor people who are seeing other people be successful on the internet, but they can't successfully break out of their caste. You know what I'm saying? It's like the poor people just are permanently fucking spinning their wheels in the mud in the trenches. And if you drop them anywhere in the world, they're really not going to really exceed those bounds. Now, obviously, there's nuance to this. But the only reason we know of the type of stories of people who break beyond this, there's plenty of stories of broke immigrants who come here and become rich as fuck. But the reason we know of those stories is precisely because they're sensational. They're unorthodox. You don't hear about that too often. So when you do see a broke immigrant who breaks out of that sort of transcendence and rises to the top and breaks his sort of blood barrier that he's had, it's a fucking phenomenal story to tell. It's just that you don't hear that too often. So what I'm assuming, and I'm probably right, I'm assuming you come from a lower middle class home.
Yeah, I come from first generation here. My father moved over here probably
First
late
first
80s.
generation. So the hardest thing for a man to do, understand this, is to exceed his father. Most of the limits that a man imposes on himself psychologically, men have a very, very difficult time trying to traverse past whatever their father has done. But I will tell you that the very proof of your existence is designed for you to exceed your father. It's just the hardest fucking thing to do. A lot of men have a very bizarre guilt and shame around passing whatever their dad did. And so there usually, and this is a rite of passage that not too many people discuss, there usually is sort of a grand finale clash and confrontation between a boy and his father as he's getting older, where the boy leaves the kingdom, goes and finds his own mission, and then comes back a winner. And then he's able to have an ordinary relationship with his father. But look, if a men who grow up with a perfect, symmetrical, harmonious relationship with their father that never have any conflict, the guy never goes off on his own path, those are the guys that never exceed what their dad did. Those are the guys that maintain that blood barrier that I'm telling you about, and they remain in their caste system. It's the guys who had the balls to break out of the mold and go do something for themselves, who once they find their identity, once they've done that shedding, that proverbial shedding of their skin, they're able to come back and reintegrate themselves into the family unit a better man. So if you've never had this glorious sort of meltdown with your father, you've missed out on a very, very seminal, very, very important rite of passage in a man's life, if that makes sense. So what I'm telling you is
Fair.
if that has not happened, which I assume it has not for you, I assume you have not had some grand battle with your father, correct?
Grand battle as in a winning, bringing a gold medal home is what you're saying?
Grand battle as in sort of not seeking permission from him, but doing your own thing and having a period of reticence, of silence, where you're doing your own fucking thing, and in the back of your head, you know he's watching.
Yes. So just a little backstory. My father basically lived a fast life and burnt it all before I was born. And essentially, for my end, I never really understood or happened to see any of like success from my father. It was more of like alienated from him. I can't even like puzzle piece it to him unless I look at photos and whatnot. But fast forward, when I was in high school, I happened to drop out, and I very much resonate with all the things that you say. I probably listen to all the time. But to fast forward into it, I basically dropped out and pursued the career of acting. I went 4 years in, and I did everything that I said I was gonna do. And then I got affiliated with some chick. But now I'm back into a whole different spec where I'm basically taking all of the gadgets and the weapons that I've taken from the entertainment place into sales. And now it's a whole different spec because acting is just one direction. And one of the things that you mentioned is that you're constantly delving deep into, in quote, the abyss of basically constant non-sleep, delving deep into all these different things. For me right now, I'm in a place where I have that drive. I understand the whole concept of like literally sleeping for 2 hours and manically roaming around the house, people looking at you as if you're crazy. But there's periods where I find myself literally crashing, burning, literally non-con. It's like a thing where I'll go for 6 months tantrum. Boom, I'm in a fucking rut out of fucking nowhere. And I think it's more of a thing where it's just different types of places. And when you say the whole thing about not writing your goals, I was able to do that then. Now that I'm in this spot and switch of career and going into sales, I'm doing fantastic. I have my own business and basically wholesaling houses, doing great right now. But it's not that constant fucking eat, drive, lion hardest feel, which I'm trying to like get back to, which I do, but then it opts out. But I don't know. I just wanted to know if it's something where maybe it's just me on my end or something I can possibly tap in. Maybe it's just like of a switch.
I mean, you're doing exactly what your dad did, basically. You're literally sort of recreating the kind of diorama that your father put you in. It's like the sort of the same story. It's headed down that same path. And here's my point. If you look at it from a tribalistic point of view, a family unit, a nuclear family, is meant to create incremental wealth, right? Like from an ethical, economical standpoint, the idea of a rich son inheriting a rich dad's business, that's actually the natural order of things, because how it's supposed to work is on enough generations, every son is supposed to do incrementally better than their father did, and then leave their sons the imprinting, the lessons, the infrastructure, and then their son is supposed to slightly exceed. It's supposed to be a gradual incline. Where you run into serious problems in the fabric of a society is when a father gives money to a son who wasn't part of that clause, wasn't part of that initial plan. So like a kid who doesn't have experience managing large sums of money comes into it fast. That's how you fucking wreck massive generations. Because again, families are designed to create incremental stability over generations. The only way you get an outlier, okay, and the only way you get these heroic figures that we're all like, how the fuck did these motherfuckers break beyond the barriers and hurdle and high step over these obstacles, is because they all had a very rocky fight with their parents. And so they were able to sort of shed the programming and decondition the identity, and they were able to go kind of chart a whole different path for themselves. That's the black pill. The black pill is that if you're going to be an outlier and reverse generations of incrementalism, then you have to go your own way and leave the kingdom for a ephemeral period of time. When I say leave the kingdom, I actually mean on a soul spiritual level and a mental level. You have to completely remove the permission levers that your parents have over you, if that's what you're trying to do. If you're trying to stick a fork in reality and strike gold and change generations, then that's the kind of man you have to be. I've never seen anybody be able to do it while under the thumb of their parents. I've just never seen that happen. Because again, it's a stable system and it's stable on purpose. So it's only the motherfuckers who are able to sort of shatter that sort of baseline reality who are able to kind of get things that the other people in the family were unable to get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand. So you mean like ideologies alongside with like
Well, ideology is
also
the most important thing. That's the first thing you have to jackhammer. That's the
okay.
first thing you have to jackhammer is all that imprinting, because the reality is, bro, God bless their souls, but the boomers were the most bamboozled generation in world history. They don't really have pertinent life advice for us. Like the way they did things, that shit don't fly anymore. So you can fucking love them and hold them near and dear to your heart, but most of their advice is absolute fucking dog shit. It's horrible. Horrible advice.
Yeah. No, you're right. I appreciate you, Brute. Thank you so much. I don't want to hold on
Yep.
to you too much, but thank you so much. Moving on.